Stay tuned now for Westchester Eye on the Radio with Peter Moses, John Sharan, and Ardina Seward on 1460 WVOX.
Welcome, everybody, to Westchester Eye on the Radio. I'm Peter Moses with my co-hosts John Sharan and Ardina Seward. And I got to tell you, John, Ardina came through again. Ardina has been getting
Clutch.
us 95% of our guests since she started aboard in December. It's been 6 months that she's been doing this with us, and we've had some weird people on the show. We've had some very interesting. Even the weird people are interesting. We've had some newsmakers. We've had.
And you have a new phone.
Yeah, my phone died. Today, however, I think we have perhaps the most interesting guest we've ever had.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's a bold statement, because you yourself have brought in some pretty interesting people.
Right. But Ardina is going to introduce our guest because this is a first for us on this radio station. We're going to be talking to somebody who was involved or who has been accused of being involved in a terrible crime 13 years ago and says he's innocent. And Ardina, please, go ahead.
Well, I reached out to Dimitry Sheinman, who's now Victor Sheinman, because, Peter, both you and I had covered the case in 2004 of the homicide of Sarah Fox. And it was one of those cases that always puzzled us, and because of news and what news is, we didn't have a chance to do a lot of follow-up on it. And both you and I are now out of our respective places where we worked, and this was a chance to get the other side of the story, not in a 10-second soundbite, but to get it in an hour-long discussion. So, Dimitri, if you're there, Kag dela, Dobra Pazalovet Nasho. So forgive my terrible Russian. But, but here we are, and you're calling from South Africa. So let's begin at the beginning. Tell us the saga of what happened.
Wait. Let's first start with the crime. Before we get into his explanation of it, on May 19th, 2004, a Julliard student named Sarah Fox was murdered in Inwood Park. Inwood Park is one of the oldest parks in New York City. It's at the tip of northern Manhattan, or near the tip of northern Manhattan. It's near the cloisters. And there are actually caves there that people who grew up there, and Dimitri, I know you lived there for a while, they were known as the Indian Caves. And it's a very beautiful park. It's very hilly. It's very rocky. And even though it's in Manhattan, it is a remote park. It is a park that's not that well traversed with joggers and walkers. And there are parts of it that are, but parts of it are not. So when she was murdered, it was an enormous story. A, she's a student. B, she's a woman. C, it's in Manhattan. 4, it's in a New York City public park. 5, there was a ritualized element to the murder because either the person who did the murder or someone who came upon the body and didn't tell the authorities
Staged
something around it. They put a floral display around the body, and it wasn't found for 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you'd think in New York City, how could a body not be found?
Well, you and I both know, for instance.
We're not in Sheepshead Bay. I mean,
but what I'm just saying, like, for instance, even Pelham Bay Park down here is so big, it's true wilderness.
Pelham Bay Park is the biggest park in New York City. It makes everything.
Right, but there's a lot of. But one of my point is,
there are remote sections.
There are remote sections of
but
any
we're talking about Manhattan. Anyway, in that vein, Dimitri, tell us. We only have a couple minutes before we go to our first break, so just briefly introduce yourself. Tell us what you're doing now, and we come back after that break. We'll get more into the elements of what took place. But what is your life like right now? Because you're the person who the police considered the key suspect, right?
Okay. So if I may speak to you now, I will have to tell you immediately that, look, I don't want to get sucked into defending myself and all this what I want to tell you, I was never accused. I was the number one suspect and supposed am for the rest of my life. Now, I don't go by the name of Dimitry. I go by the name of Victor, which is known to you, very well known to you.
I'm sorry.
And I can explain why. Now, I will tell you what is happening to me. You omitted one little element from the whole story, and I really don't want to talk about Sarah Fox's murder that much. And I can tell you why. Because I'm clairvoyant, and I heal people. I actually heal people. I have lots of people who I heal.
Okay, Victor, I don't mean to cut you off, but I said we only have a few moments before we go into break. We're going to break. When we come back from break, I want you to continue the exact thing you're talking about right now, about your being a healer, about your life in South Africa, and we'll work back from there to talking about the events in Manhattan and your connection to Sarah Fox. We're going to break right now. This is Westchester Eye on the radio on WVOX and WVOX.com. We're going to have a long break here. When we come back, we're going to continue with Victor Sheinman, and we'll talk about his life in South Africa and his connection to the infamous crime that took place in May of 2004. We'll be right back.
Voice of the people, where many different voices are heard in the land.
WVOX. Let's return now to Westchester Eye on the Radio with Peter Moses, John Sharan, and Ardina Seward on 1460 WVOX.
Welcome back to Westchester Eye on the Radio, our weekly discussion of issues relating to Westchester and the surrounding area. I'm John Sharan, along with Peter Moses and Ardina Seward, and a special, as Peter said, perhaps most unusual guest that we've ever had on our program, Victor Sheinman, a long time considered a person of interest in a certain case that occurred in New York City. And Victor was telling us a little bit about his background. He had previously gone by the name of Dimitry, and he was telling us a bit about his background. So, Victor, why don't you pick up where you were and continue with your story?
Yes. One thing which was omitted from the story is that about 6 years ago, I came back to New York with an envelope. And in that envelope was a name of, I think, a murderer, because 4 other clairvoyants, independently of me, named the same guy with the same, some named the same features and, many, many details. And look, I came back, I'm the only one who came back to police after 6 years, to New York, because, murderers and rapists are there to be caught. And I did my civic duty more than anybody ever did. Let's face it, in the whole history of New York City, no one ever found out who the murderer is, came back, and I was just being destroyed. The only reason why police let me go is because I announced myself as the Messiah of this world. Now, you have to understand that your show is about the Antichrist, really.
Hold on, Victor, hold on for a second. I don't really want to get into anything about the Moshiach or the Messiah or the Antichrist. The fact that you announced yourself to be that is all well and good, but let's get back to the narrative you're talking about, how it is that you shouldn't be the suspect because of your openness at dealing with the NYPD. Let's stay away from the whole Messiah thing for now, okay?
Listen, this whole the New York police, look at movie Cyclical. What are you talking about? The media is there, number one. Look, let's talk about the one world government. It's revealing itself to be satanic. So everybody and their mother will continue doing what they're doing, selling their soul in effect. The one world government is going to introduce the Antichrist, known to the Jews as Moshiach. I tell you, he's called the negative Messiah.
Okay, but Victor, can I interrupt you?
Victor, I know that you have a perspective that you want to get out there, and I understand that. But this is not the show to talk about the one world government, because that could take 15 years to talk about that, and we only have a few minutes. So why don't we stick to the case, not to your explanation of what's wrong with society, because that's not going to help us determine how it is you're being accused of something you didn't do. If you didn't do this, tell us how it is that they think you did this. Where did they go wrong? And forgetting about Christ, Antichrist, Messiahs, how is it that the NYPD is so wrong about this case?
Well, listen, how is NYPD so wrong about so many things?
No, I listen.
Why does, excuse me, I'm not answering idiotic questions because NYPD is corrupt organization. Everybody knows it. Look, media is not here to tell the truth, and I respect you guys about it. You guys have to tell lies, and that's fine with me. I love the one world government. You guys are serving a purpose. You guys have an order to interview me. In the back of my book, I claim to be the Messiah. You cannot make Antichrist without the Messiah, and that's a fact.
Okay, Victor, can I interrupt you? Can I interrupt you for 1 second though? I'd like you to talk about your clairvoyant experience with this case and what you knew and how you came to know that. What did you see? What did you hear? Apparently there were other clairvoyance that you corroborated with. Is there anything you feel that that the police missed in the case that you were able to find out through your spiritual information?
Okay. I would love to tell you everything in the world about clairvoyance, about basic things, about all of this good stuff. I'll tell you one thing. I heal people. That's my practice right now. Okay? Also, I wrote a book for which many of my clients bought the book. I have even purchased numbers, and Amazon is not paying me a cent. And that's fine with me as well, because that's the way the things are. It is just the way the world is. I have accepted the world. I will fight evil, but I know evil is there, because without evil we cannot have spiritual life. And that's true spirituality. That's what I'm all about. I'm claiming to be the Messiah of this world. Forget about this investigation. The police messed up one more time. I came to New York, and look, 4 other clairvoyants mentioned the same guy. How come? And these clairvoyants are not just some bums on the street. These are respectable people in South African community.
And what did they tell you? But what I don't understand, help me to understand what they told you, and also help me to understand how Sarah is working with you. That's what I don't. That's what I don't
Sarah
get.
Is working. Who told you this? Sarah is working with me. What are you talking about?
I had read, and correct me if I'm wrong. I had read that
you were in touch.
That you were in touch with Sarah. Am I wrong? Did I read incorrectly?
Look, obviously there are spirits. Back when I went to New York 6 years ago, one clairvoyant, I had one woman who was highly clairvoyant come to my house, and she went for a cigarette smoke, came back, and she said, you know, what is this photograph on your table? Because I have a photograph of Sarah Fox on my table back then.
Right.
And I said, this photograph told me the name John. Oh, well, I shouldn't say the name. Okay, fine. But anyway, the photograph itself, Sarah's photograph, communicated to this clairvoyant woman. All I did is relay the story, and I gave the police her number, phone number, okay? That's all I did. And there's 3 other clairvoyants, and not only just a name. Some information is very precise. That's not the point. Police use clairvoyance all the time. Big deal. It's my case. It's this case. I'm not here to try to prove anything to you. You think what you want. I'm telling you the only reason your show is having me on it is because I claim to be the Messiah of this world. And the one world government is going to introduce Antichrist. Look at the Gotthard base tunnel celebration. Look at it. That's where one world government is introducing what they worship, which is Satanism, which is fine. It is just another religion. Okay? It's a negative religion, so everybody's accepting it. The New World Order is not about enslaving the slaves.
Okay, we're going into okay, just hold your point, because we're going into a break. So we'll talk to you on the other side of the break, because I think that we all want to know more about your clairvoyance and where you get your concepts from and how that impacts your art. Okay, everybody stay tuned, and we'll be back after this break.
Peter Moses, John Sharan, and Ardina Seward on 1460 WVOX.
Welcome back to Westchester Eye on the Radio. I'm not going to introduce my host right now because we don't have Dimitry or Victor for very long. Victor, you said that you met with a bunch of other clairvoyants and that you all of you have created a narrative about what happened and who's guilty. So why don't you lay out the crime for us, how it took place? You and the other clairvoyants have determined the chronology of events culminating in her passing. Can you describe for us how it happened?
Yes, I will. The only problem is that everything is written so well. I do want people to.
All right, Victor. Victor, that's fine. But just tell us without. You don't need to qualify it. Just tell us.
I found out who the murderer is. I'll tell you.
That's not. That isn't what I asked you. I asked you to describe what the crime was, because if your clairvoyants saw it and you saw it.
Let me describe to you. I saw very limited things.
Okay.
Everything. You keep on bringing it back to the crime. Fine. It's all in the book, but I saw very limited things.
I understand that. But just I know you saw limited.
Later on, I saw a name flash at me from the darkness of the forest. And that name I wrote down and gave it to my wife. And I did not contact police with it because police was already dealing very unfairly with
Victor, my question to you was, you can give me the name, but first describe the crime. What happened? What took place? Tell me.
Describe the crime because I was not there.
No, but I mean, but you and the other clairvoyants said that you were able to see what happened. So what happened?
All this garbage that you read in the newspapers, all this garbage that you hear in the news, it's not true.
So what is true? What is true then? Victor, what's true?
The media.
Okay. What's true, Victor? What's true?
You're putting words from other media people, and you want to make a story like this. I did not see what happened during the murder. I know some details are gruesome. As a matter of fact, I think there was stick involved. I saw the murderer running like an ape from the crime, and she was grotesque and horrible, okay? But that's all not important. Later on, I saw a name flash at me from the darkness.
Go ahead.
And then I forgot that name, but I gave this name to my wife and she wrote it down. Later, this name, all of a sudden, another clairvoyant tells me the same name out of the blue. And some of the same details that I saw.
Victor, what's the name? What's the name?
Did I explain myself?
Yes, what's the name?
What's his name? Well, look, the name is in the book. I don't want to have what happened to me.
But Victor, if you're appearing on a radio show in the United States and you say you have a name, give us the name. I don't have the book in front of me.
The police know the name. And I assure you, if the guy comes to police right now and says, "I'm the murderer," they'll say, "Go away."
What did the media get wrong? What did the media get wrong? What facts did the media get wrong, Victor, about this case? What was?
Police are very corrupt, and that's a fact. Undeniable fact.
Okay, you haven't given us so far. You haven't given us any explanation of what the truth is, other than make accusations that the NYPD is corrupt, that there's a world government, that Satan is involved, that there's an Antichrist, and there is a Messiah. Other than using those catch-all phrases, you haven't given us one bit of information beyond those platitudes that explains anything. So how is the NYPD wrong? It's a simple question.
What do you want to be? What do you want to know again?
Why is the NYPD wrong?
Okay. NYPD wrong because many times they mess up investigation. And it's fine, they're just an organization. look, if not for the government and organizations like NYPD, the world would be wonderful, and there would be no spiritual life.
I understand, but I'm asking.
Evil is here. The police department is an evil organization.
Okay, but what did listen? You wanted to come on the show here to clear the air, not to throw mud without clearing the air. So let's clear the air. What did the NYPD get wrong? Why are they barking up the wrong tree? What
NYPD got everything wrong, and they get everything, and actually they get everything right. You know what? They are supposed to, what they do, they're supposed to be incompetent. You're supposed to have your show. You're supposed to do your job. I'm doing my job right now. My job right now is to talk to you logically. You're comparing NYPD to a citizen who went voluntarily back.
But we need facts. We need. I think what Peter is saying, Victor, is that we need some facts, some specific information to compare it as to how NYPD got it wrong and what you saw. I think to strengthen your argument, if you have something that is specific, it could, I don't know, time of day, whatever. You know better than we do. So we need specifics as to how the NYPD accused you of something that was totally
off base.
Off base. I think that's basically what we're asking. So if you have
okay, I'm sorry. I will speak to the program and ask me anything you want. Go ahead.
Okay, so what? Okay, so what is it that? Let us go through the specifics of the case again. She was found, she was apparently strangled, and they had made you a suspect in that case. What is it about that specifically that was wrong that you know by way of the clairvoyance, that you know by way of this case?
Yes. I will answer your question. What was wrong from NYPD is that I just don't fit in being any kind of a murderer, criminal, or whatever. When they check me out, they, like any kind of brain dead idiot would know I'm not the murderer. Okay? But that's what happened, and I think it's wonderful. Do you know why?
Why?
Because then I was communicated by very big forces to do what I do, which is to heal people and to promote the religion of the truth. I claim to be the Messiah of this world, and I wouldn't get this interview if I didn't. Because that's in the back of the book. Read the book. Go to my website.
Did you have an alibi? Did you have an alibi for the? I believe that the crime happened at roughly 4:00 in the afternoon. Did you have an alibi as to where you were at that time that they were able to accept?
I am feeling like I have a second-rate cop trying to wink one at me, do one at me. You know, I'm used to this kind of talk. You know, it's you know, look. What do I think about it? Because of media, it became dangerous for me to even stay in the country that I love, United States of America. I had to move to South Africa, but of course South Africa is governed by the same government, which is one world government, and hey, you know, it's basically the same country. You know, the world is being satanized. You guys, you are a media people. You're the biggest mouthpiece of one world government. And I tell you, how do I feel about your profession and how do I feel about you guys? Before I just hated anybody who is in media. Now I do understand that you're needed. People are there, just masses there. If basically media operates on the
Victor, I don't mean to cut you off, but we do have commercial breaks. We're having another one here. We're going to come back with Victor Sheinman. I can speak for Ardina, myself, and for John that we are no mouthpieces for the government, our government, world government, any other kind of government. Anyone who knows me would tell you that.
For anything other than ourselves.
Yeah, I'm the last person that the government could get to say anything. Anyway.
We want to talk about your artwork on the other side of the break. So
maybe you do.
Yeah, let's talk about your art.
For a half hour of a dialogue on divorce.
Sooner or later, somebody's going to blab it on WVOX. There's always something happening at 1460 on Westchester's only local station. WVOX.
Let's return now to Westchester Eye on the Radio with Peter Moses, John Sharan, and Ardina Seward on 1460 WVOX.
And we are back, folks, with Victor Sheinman, who's called in from South Africa. Victor, let's talk about your art and how your life experience has impacted your artwork.
Yes, I used to be a painter. Now I don't paint because I had to write a book. And usually visual artists are not able to express themselves well because they paint all the time. So exactly. I had to become an intellectual, kind of semi-intellectual writer. And then I had to express, the book is about the making of the Messiah, as I mentioned. So it's a tall order. It took me 8 years. And, nobody would touch me, no publishing company. And then you realize, my God, everything is controlled because it's a big story. And yet, I did not get one person to publish me. Even the local bookstore is scared of the book, yet people buy it from me and they love it. I self-published, and it was on Amazon, and then when my clients, I have some clients who I heal in the States. By the way, I can heal from anything. I can heal cancer, whatever you have, hip, I heal any ailment a person has. Okay. By the way, murderers cannot heal because they have negative energy. Okay.
Okay, I did read. Can I interrupt you for a quick? Okay, just I hate to interrupt you, but there was I did read on your website where you said that you can't hurt people because if you get to that point, and again, correct me, I'm paraphrasing. If you get to that point that there are voices that stop you from doing it, can you get into that? Can you explain that? And
yes. Okay. Essentially, I don't even know how regular people, massage people, or do anything because I can see through the body, but also I'm controlled by very powerful forces. And they want me, they're interested in the creation, like I said, of the Antichrist and the Messiah. And they come in a pair, just like the two Illuminati columns. Your station is called the Eye on the News, Illuminati. Anyway, so when I am going to pull somebody's leg too hard, like not knowingly, just making a mistake, or let's say if I'm going to do something which is not, I get the voice say, don't pull that hard, do it that way. So I never hurt my client. There's never any complaints. It's like, 100%. And I have a success rate of almost 100%. When I fail is when the client
Okay, Victor, we're going on a tangent here. So let's come back. Now, I know that since you're an artist and you're a painter, do you appreciate tattoo art or no?
What did you say? Once again, it's hard for me to hear.
Do you like tattoo art?
Okay, tattoo art. Yes, there's a problem with the tattoo art because the skin, you put an image. I'm not asking
you that. I'm asking you if you appreciate tattoo art.
No, I don't like tattoo art. I don't appreciate tattoo art.
Okay.
I think it's hideous.
All right,
I think it's kind of a sickness.
Okay. Now, from what I understand, in your own investigation into the Sarah Fox case, and maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought I read this somewhere that you wrote this, is that you and other psychics have had visions, and one of the things you were able to ascertain is that she had body art. Is that true?
What did who say what? You know how much garbage was written about me, all untruth, by your media.
Well, it's not my media, but I mean, she supposedly had a tattoo somewhere. Do you know anything about the tattoo that the cops supposedly have taken pictures?
Right now, I feel this horrible feeling in my stomach talking to you because I don't like people like you if you talk to me like this because you're Okay.
I'm sorry you don't like me, but I mean you're coming on
look, lots of people wrote so much garbage about me, and you're digging in it.
I didn't write anything. None of us.
I'm digging you out immediately. I'm not going to play this game with you. Sorry.
Okay, so
talk to
you don't.
somebody else about this kind of stuff, boring stuff. I make your show exciting. And I
Then
talk about very
why?
important-
Tell me why then you agreed to come on the air, knowing full well that we were going to be talking about Sarah Fox and not specifically about your healings and about your artwork. You knew we were going to talk about Sarah Fox. I've asked you to clear yourself, to tell me, and Ardina asked where you were when this happened. I asked you, you say you have some sort of visions into what happened, and all I'm asking you to do is provide us with any insights you have. This is your last shot for the American media for a while. So tell me, what is it that you can add to the understanding of what happened to this beautiful young woman, vibrant woman, and today? Tell me about that. Just tell me whatever it is you have informationally.
Okay, let's talk about it. Number one, lots of beautiful women die, okay, and nobody cares about them. Your sensationalism is tiring.
Okay, but you're not answering my. We're talking about a specific person, not your theory about American media and its fascination with murdered beautiful women. We're talking about. I brought up her beauty because people were mesmerized when they saw pictures of her. So just tell me what insights you have into this crime that are different than that of the NYPD. That's all I'm asking you. It's a pretty straightforward question. Give me an answer, please.
A straightforward answer to you is, look, you as somebody who works in the media, I appreciate who you are because you have to basically stretch the truth, lie to people. It's fine with me now. I accept reality as
But yeah, okay, but you're, okay. I at this point, I don't care of your theory about media. I asked you. You refuse to answer any questions. You have in your mind what you want to do on this show. It differentiates from what the show is about. I am asking you because we only have 3 minutes left. I want you to tell me what insights you have to this case. Forgetting about the media. There's no wall here now. This is your opportunity. Take the next 2 minutes. Tell me what you know about this case and why and no one should focus on you. Go ahead. You got 2 minutes.
I'll show you. Okay? Whatever insights I have, they don't want to catch the murderer. They messed up and they messed up.
But we're not talking about them. We're talking about. But we're not talking about them, Victor. We're talking about you. And if you're going to be on a show and someone asks you... What?
I'm only interested because I claim to be the Messiah of this world. I'm not that interested.
I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less you say the Messiah of the world. Since you're Jewish, I'm sure you've heard of Shabtai Tzvi. I believe he was in the 15th, 16th, or 17th century. There were thousands and thousands of Shabtai Tzvi followers. And it turned out he wasn't the Messiah. So the Messiah conversation has nothing to do with my question. I ask you again, and it's going to be for the last time because we're running out of time. What is it that you know about this case that hasn't been brought to the public's attention?
Right. I will assure you that if you ask police, that they'll tell you more information than I do.
Okay. Nick, do me a favor. Nick, can you please cut him off? I want to have a minute and a half without hearing from him anymore. Listen, listeners, this has been an interesting hour for us. Ardina set this guest up for this interview, and we came on with good intentions. We wanted to give this gentleman a chance to honestly tell his side of the story. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a side of the story. He has whatever paranoid, schizophrenic statements that he makes that have no basis in reality. I don't usually apologize for a show. I don't really want to apologize. I would have preferred much more to be telling you that maybe the police have this wrong, maybe this gentleman isn't guilty. But Ardina, did you get any insight into anything to do with Sarah Fox during this hour?
Well, it ain't over till it's over. So I would.
I asked if you heard anything on the show. Did you hear anything on the show?
Oh, there were nuances.
John, okay. John?
Well, Peter, I personally think that certain people live in their own little worlds, and you're not going to change the way they view the way life is, even if it is reality versus their little world. They see things their way, regardless of what the reality is.
Ardina, what reality person are we having on next week?
We're going to have a great show for ladies and men. A fabulous beauty expert named Vladimir Bahovsky. Ladies, he is the man. He will make you beautiful.
And Steve Miller, too. He can make you beautiful.
Westchester's last remaining local community station, 1460.